Cutters, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinions. Hey there, Heather, ho there. It's Jeff Cutter and welcome you to another Cutter, Degrassi, Unpopular Opinion. And this is number 188 in the series. I'm getting close to 200. I got a big 200 coming up, but I'm only at 188. So, anyway, I did a Reddit post a week ago, and for context, it's being taped on March the 8th, 2023. And it said, unpopular opinion, which got 27 upvotes. It says, Raditch not calming the students down about Rick's return is close to bad as letting Rick back in the first place. Here's what I wrote. Sure, he let Rick back into Degrassi and Mercy Street, and he shouldn't have done so. But the fact was, without a criminal charge, he couldn't have denied Rick's plan to come back. He easily could have said to Rick, it's not a good idea, but his hands were tied. Of course, when he explains it to Marco and Alex, it's in a deleted scene. However, a key step for this issue to not get overblown would have also been to communicate with the students about Rick coming back. Emphasis on that. There's nothing wrong with going either on the video system / the PA, which still existed at the time, or having an assembly about the matter, because he can explain himself to the students about why Rick is back at school instead of basically having the students get mad at him because of lack of oversight. In a way, the students had a second motivation for the Orange Ribbon campaign other than going after Rick for what he did to Terry, because without reassurances, they figured, as Paige put it, there's a monster at Degrassi, no one's helping us deal with it. Sure, Raditch can explain himself, and maybe some students would back off, but it would not have pleased everybody, and who could blame him? All Raditch did was become secretive about the issue, only telling Alex and Marco about the fact that no criminal charge means he can't do anything about it. He ticked off Emma by saying to stay out of her silly crusades, which might have had Emma get involved in the Orange Ribbon campaign to get back at Raditch, as well as maybe get back at Liberty and Manny for breaking off as friends and other things. And it played up to the stiffness of his character. I do need to remind you that even though he brushed Rick off in time stand still and could have been better to him, Rick was not straightforward with the bullying, and if he explained better, Raditch would have had to take matters better. Anyway, what are your thoughts? Now, it's no secret that I have a couple of times done a Cutter Degrassi unpopular opinion when I basically said, well, this is the last time I'm going to talk about Raditch in an unpopular opinion. But unfortunately, that's false. Well, this one's false. So I'm going to go through and I'm going to tell you how many Degrassi unpopular opinions I've done on Raditch. Now, directly with Raditch, if he was like a character in an unpopular opinion, but wasn't the main focus, then that doesn't count. So, let's see here. All right, so bear with me, of course. Raditch's gripe on Emma, one of the first ones, number 11 on the list, was when I talked about Raditch's gripe and with Emma from season 2. Egos in the Aftermath was a Raditch thing because did Raditch or Jay have the better ego? Had the worst ego, excuse me. Season 4 deleted scenes. Well, I did at season 4 deleted scenes like a redo. Like I talked about the Dungeons and Nice thing. So technically that's just 1. So that's 3. Punishment issues was Raditch was part of it, but he wasn't the main focus. So that is a disqualification. The Breakfast Club. No, I just talked about the episode wasn't needed. So that doesn't count. Yeah, going through 188 of these, it's just hard on the list. Raditch's hate should be lower. I did that a couple years ago. That's number 4. Well, Degrassi opinion number 52, so that's 4. Exercise boo-boos. I kind of did punishment issues. Raditch's one main moment of glory. 5. Like I say, that he wasn't all that bad. Snake Under Principal season 4. No, I'll say that was not one of them. Hidden Agenda, but that was all about Emma, so Raditch was not the main focus, so that's a disqualification on that part. Why Rick didn't face charges season 3. that kind of was Raditch based, but it wasn't fully based. The school board's impact in season 4 kind of on Raditch, so that's one more. So that's 6. Um, yeah, zero tolerance policy issues. Kind of Hatzalackles like. So that's a disqualification on that. Radish's role in season 4. CDUO 138, the big one, which Rachel Violetta helped me with. So that's 7. Radish's revenge debunked because someone said that Raj had ended up being principal of Lakehurst and wanted to hurt JT and Liberty because of what they did in season 4. But I said that's debunked. Yeah, I've done a lot of Raj stuff, but I think there were more Degrassiisms. Oh, Raj's statement deleted scene. Oh, well, I kind of did that. No, wait, that's a different one. So that's 9. No, sorry. Technically, that's the same thing as the earlier ones. I just redid it. So that's 8. And I think that's it. Because yeah, oh, okay, here we go. Raj had the best idea for PR, but wrong execution. That was CDUO 179, so that's 9. And I did Raj's Hate in season 4 as a CDUO / Degrassiism, so that's 10. Not bad. And School Board had a hand in downvotes of Raj Simpson, but Raj was not the main focus, so that's 10. So yeah, so I did 10 unpopular opinions on this guy. This will be number 11. I think he's one of the closest. I think Rick is number 1 and Emma's number 2 for that. But yeah, the main focus. I'll have to write that down. But anyway, so yeah, Raj not coming the students down. Now, I'll give you the comments of the people after I give my take. So this is why it's unpopular. Like, it's unpopular in the sense that, everyone said Raj's biggest mistake in season 4 was letting Rick back into school in the first place, or just leaving Rick high and dry in Time Standstill Part 1. Now, I don't blame Raj for what he did. Like, yeah, he didn't have to school out and didn't help the students and all that deal with the Rick situation, and in a sense he kind of hid his guilt. But the fact of the matter is, yes, Raditch should not have let Rick back into school. But the problem is when he explains to Marco and Alex in the deleted scene, stupidly enough, he says that, his hands were tied. I mean, if you don't look at the deleted scene, you're assuming that Raditch just basically doesn't want to help out the students. I mean, it could easily have been that Marco and Alex should have told the students about the whole situation. It probably would have angered them. Some probably was like they were stuck with him. But also, Raditch's biggest mistake, in my mind, is also not doing circuit breakers. Telling Rick you have to do certain conditions or else you're gone. Easy as that. But the fact of the matter is, Raditch just let things happen, and he was hated. Haters gotta hate, lovers gotta love. But the fact of the matter is, that was just plain stupid. Like, was it last year? I think it was when Unusually Eric, or was it the year before that? Unusually Eric did the video talk, like he talks about season 4 and all that, like, and shows clips of it. I don't know how he got away with the clips, and I can't. But the simple fact is that one person put in the comments that Raditch's biggest flaw was not having an assembly to deal with Rick coming back to the school, and that makes so much sense. It does. Because, like going on the video system / the PA, or having a physical assembly to explain himself. Like, not every student's going to like it, but at least Raditch, in a way, would have, calmed some students down. Like, he says that, his hands are tied. What can he do? And all that. One popular thing I had thinking he didn't do it because he was probably thinking that all the students were going to go to the police and try to get Rick in trouble. Now, could Rick have faced charges? Possibly, possibly not. Okay, so, like, that's why the students thought that the administration wasn't going to do anything. I know they made a giant boo-boo, like the staff in season 4 didn't do much to help Rick out with the bullying and all that. And Simpson took accountability, which Raj should have done at least once, but no, Yeah. All right, so here we go. Comments. Someone even said, the real question is, where's Audra Torres when you actually need her to raise hell with the PTA on school decisions? Well, I don't think she was part of the PTA at the time. Remember, this is season 4, not season 10. Thundercat says, schools definitely have the ability to deny students going there, even if they're not charged with crimes. Students get expelled all the time. Most of them don't get charged with anything. Right. They don't get charged, but they come back. Some students can't come back to certain schools. Acrobatic Manor said, I was listening to a podcast where they said something very similar to this. I think the issue was that 2004 was a different time. Well, that's what the podcast said. But basically, it was the beginning stages of restorative conversations versus punishments in education. If everyone had the time and energy in 2023 for this, there definitely would have been a peace circle if Rick returned. Well, of course, I haven't been in a school for 15 years because I graduated from high school 20 years ago in 2003, and I graduated from college in 2008. So, yeah, I don't know much about the schools thing. And then they have these quiet rooms and all that. A lot of these things people have hated because they're getting woke and all that shit. Yeah. Yeah, it's a time frame. In 2004. Could have been that maybe if the show was later, past 2004, like 2010, 2011-ish, things would have been different. I doubt that. It's the timing of it all. Because when I made an unpopular opinion about not 19, what am I thinking? 2004 versus 2022, like, the whole Degrassi thing about, the era of the Rick Murray situation. I mentioned that. All right, so Candy said, I'm sure all of the teachers and administration had a basic understanding of the Rick situation. I'm not surprised that none of them helped Rick. It was wrong of them, but I'm not surprised. Terry was a popular student, and most of the teachers and admin probably were not happy with him being back, but they couldn't speak about it and diffuse the situation. I mean, that's what ticks me off the most. It's like, they understood the Rick situation. Well, Quan actually sent Spinner to the principal's office in Mercy Street when he threw something at Rick while he recites a poem. So, yeah, it was wrong. Someone said Raditch is that administrator who's just there to pick up a check and fill out paperwork. That's what Mean Chicklets said. Yep. I think that's what Rachel Violetta said in CDUO 138. Someone says that Archie was a better principal. Archie should have known about this. And Rick is a psychopath. Aloha even says, this is the problem with the situation. Say, I'm pretty sure you know about the Terry situation, and why I think the community harbors too much resentment for Raditch. He knows what he's being told, but without any charges, he can't do anything. He has to basically assume it's BS and that Terry fell. And even if he hated Rick, he can't do anything. Because maybe he did hate on Rick. We, as the audience, know what the truth is, but without a criminal investigation, all he has is Page and Spinner blaming him, and then either Rick or denying or saying he did it, which is being warped. I do think Rick could have gotten better, but the writers were trying not to humanize him as much as they could. Yeah, a lot of these people don't like there are people who think people harbor too much resentment towards Raditch. Like, does Raditch deserve a lot of blame? He deserves blame? Yes. Out of 10, what do you think? I say 9.3. The guy didn't bully Rick. Yes, he didn't help Rick out in Time Stand Still Part 1, but Rick was not being straightforward. Rick could have easily gone straight forward to Raditch, but Rick was living in his own fantasy world in his head, and he also had the stitches get snitches philosophy, which means that he didn't want to snitch because he was worried about punishment, and maybe Raditch would have done something, but yeah. Yeah, and then Aloha already got it into it with someone else. Says there's no evidence. We as an audience know the truth because the writers had to watch and saw the scenario. Raditch didn't see him do it. The only thing he can go off is the police report, which probably wasn't there. And it was off school grounds. But then Aloha said, imagine Raditch knows what we know. He doesn't want Rick back, but without a police report, he can't discredit against the student because a few of the kids didn't like him. So he lets him back against his will and ignores his cries for help because the students are pushing Rick out of the school. A lot of people are like, you're missing the point. Raditch isn't excusing Rick. It's just that Terry and her father never pressed charges. That's actually one of the biggest problems. The biggest problem is, yeah. Also, it's like Terry and her dad should have pressed charges against Rick because I think for sure Rick would have been ruined and all that. There would have been a trial. It just shocks me that Terry and her or her dad didn't even do it. That actually makes sense because it's like, I mean, I'm sure the dad should have done something about it, but maybe Rick gets away with it. And I did the CDUO about why he didn't face any charges for that. Princess Tourmaline had a conversation with me. She said, I agree with the first part about transparency, but with management, you have to do some risk assessment. And saying to a large group of angry students that his hands were tied could have inspired more vigilant behavior from the student body than what transpired. Is Raditch perfect? No. But having to think about all outcomes and different paths he could have taken this could have been the most neutral course of action. I don't follow him for that. The simple fact is that, yeah, and Princess says, Raditch dropping the ball catalyzed the volatile situation that was brewing. It was. Like, there was no hints of Rick coming back for the first few episodes of season 4, and, Degrassi seemed calm, cool, and collected until he came back in Mercy Street. I actually said that one time in one of my videos. Maybe Princess watched that video, but I said that Raditch probably didn't want to do that because he figured that the students were going to go to the police station and basically undermine him. That's why Raditch basically was trying to keep his ego in check. I think I said that in the Eagles one. But then it says, I call it bullshit on your second point. Yes, Rick could have been more forthcoming and should have. But I honestly don't think Raditch would have done anything about it. He had the opportunity to dig deeper in Rick's conversation, but he shrugged it off. He doubled down on that choice later in his conversation with Snake. That's right, in the deleting. But the reality is he knew that Rick was a target, no matter how justified, and should have taken pause for how much a cry for help is and all that. Raditch failed Rick, and the school sold miserably with that one decision. Lots of people failed Rick in that situation, including his parents. Yeah. And I told Princess, I said, yeah, you got some points. And I like that. So the bottom line is, for how bad Raditch is treated, as in letting Rick back in the school in the first place, ignoring his cries in Time Stand Still Part 1, and of course the ego-inducing trip to deny Dracula and to want a musical to bring how sunny Degrassi is, which led to his downfall. Raditch could have easily told the students the situation. And not all students were going to agree with him. But at least Raditch could go out knowing, I did my best. The students basically were bad towards Rick, and I tried to stop those situations. And maybe, just maybe, the school board would have given him some brownie points. But in the end, it just doesn't work out that way. I'm sorry, Raditch, but it just doesn't. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'm Jeff Diamond.